By now, on somebody's guy's size, you've got most of the lower abdomen covered. If the person's a bit larger, you're just going to need to continue up. And I'll show you as if she weren't wrapped here, how I usually start this step. I'm going to unroll some bandage and I'm going to hold it right here and stretch it out tight. This is the 1-2 motion again, where it's stretched and applied. 1, 2. When I do this, anytime you go here, you want, as long as you're below the ribs, you want your patron to suck in. Gives you a nice flat band of muscle to work with. Now in back, I'm a little lighter. I'm not going excruciatingly tight all the way around. In back, I lighten up a little bit. That's the nice thing about elastic bandages. You can be tight in one area and looser in another. So I actually hold here and stretch it out. If I don't hold here, then I've pulled the back too tight. So as long as I'm below the rib here, I'm going to go again, suck in, and apply. And you'll just work your way up the abdomen until you're covered and you get to the rib cage. Now, it is easy actually to wrap the ribs too tight. A good way to make sure that you don't wrap the ribs too tight, I'm going to have you take a deep breath and hold it. Okay, now I'm going to come around snug. Not with force, you don't want to knock the wind out of them. Go ahead and let your air out. With air in her lungs and her lungs fully expanded and her rib cage fully expanded, I know that I can't wrap it tighter than she can breathe. So again, I'm going to have you take a deep breath and let it out. Okay? So it's snug, but it's loose enough where she can breathe. Okay, now we're going to go into the bust wrap. I'm just going to tuck it right back here in the bra strap. Okay, and then I'm going to come around. And depending on what the woman needs, you may have to do some lifting. So if you have to do lifting, we're going to lift from the bottom edge only. Okay, we never want to make it tight here. You don't want to misshape someone or flatten someone. Just a nice tiny lift here, none here. Up over the shoulder, and we're going to do the other side in the same way. Tiny lift here, none here. And then with any excess, we're just going to cover lightly. Very lightly. We didn't have quite enough to cover here, but that's okay. We'll catch it with, we'll have excess from another step to finish covering what we didn't cover. And that's the bust wrap. Okay, after the bust wrap is complete, we're going to go on into the posture wrap. This guy I'm going to have you face away from me. Okay. Where the posture wrap starts isn't really all that important. I like to just start right here on the shoulder. And I'm going to do a nice loose loop under the arm to pin down this flap. Okay, anytime you're under the arm, it's got to be very, very loose. Anywhere that the body bends, there's a pressure point. Here, here, behind the knee, in the hip. Those spots can't be very tight, or you can restrict circulation. So again, it's just a very loose loop under the arm and over the shoulder. Now I want you to relax your arm, just let it dangle, and I'm going to pull this bandage until I see her shoulder move back. I'm not yanking her off her feet, just nice tension to bring her shoulder back. And here, I go loosely under this arm. I actually like to pinch it here to make sure I'm not going tight up into the armpit. And I'm going to pull back here. This step we want to do twice. Loose under the arm, over the shoulder, coax the shoulder back a bit. Somebody with bad posture, you might want to coax it back a little more. Just going to tuck that in. I ran out, so I'll get another one to complete the step. Again, this is how I start. You just lay it on the shoulder and lightly underneath. And we need to do one more pull. Here we go. And that's the posture wrap. Now with this excess, come on back around, Sky. We've got open spots that aren't covered. So we'll just cover them up. Okay, next step is the arms. Sky, I'm going to have you hold your hand out. Again, I've got my little handle here. This roll is pointing down. And I'm just going to have her set her hand in here. And I'm going to cover, make sure her fingertips are covered and that this is quite loose. It can be a bit uncomfortable if your fingers are tight. You never want fingers or toes peeking out of a wrap. It's not comfortable. Okay, so I'm going to take large bites, very loose. I'm using very large bites and just laying the bandage on. You see how large these bites are? Especially compared to the thigh? Very loose. Now once you're positive that you're past where the arm bends, you can start to use a little tension. A lot of women need, some lift and some tightening in this area. So I'm going to use a little bit of tension underneath, but none on top. A little bit of tension underneath, but light on top. And the arm, just like the leg, we never tuck in on the arm and go on to something else. The arm has to come up and over the shoulder. And tuck. They'll start to drip, so get the baggie on. I'll show you again on the other arm. Set your hand in here, lightly, lightly, very loose. You see how loose that is? When I'm positive I'm past this pressure point, I can do a little bit of tension, but you make sure always you're not tight here and you're not tight here. Your patron will have blue hands. You never want to cut circulation. A little bit of tension here and lighter on top. And then just wherever it ends, we'll tuck it in on the back.